we never actually touched that trend line. And this last move to the downside never really touched this bottom part of this trend line. So we have to remember we need at least 5 hits. So let's move this over with the assumption that we didn't touch that trend line for a reason, because we're still going to be moving back up into those areas. Well, that puts us right inside of this blue box where there's an order block that sits in that area that sits right around 34.15, goes all the way up to like 34.47, and the very bottom of this area is right around 33.79 inside of those areas. So I think, in my opinion, with this week, we could have a move to that area, retest it, and then start moving our way back down. That's not said to impress you, but more so impress upon. Once we have an idea, we stick to it. What's going on, Scalp X Legends? I'm hoping your January was phenomenal and you're ready for an even greater February ahead. We have some targets that we're going to be looking at, so I want to give you a quick update as far as where ETH could be potentially going by the end of February going into March, and what our ultimate targets are going to be looking like for the remainder of the year. So let's dive into this together. So let's take a look at this daily pattern that we've been discussing for some time now, since Christmas of last year. We were talking about this blue box, as you saw in that little clip, being tapped into, and that's exactly what happened for us, creating that 4th hit for the falling wedge or for contracting triangle, depending on your strategy. I'm giving you both sides of that, but we are now tapping into those zones, and we have potentially these levels that we're looking for. We're looking for this bottom trend line to be tapped into. When that occurs, that's, who knows, right? We could be seeing a short-term rally coming into the early parts of February, and then by the end of February, we retrace all those moves. So if I was in any position right now, I'd be looking for longs. I wouldn't be looking to short these areas, because these are some major support levels for ETH. And we have some targets, as I've been discussing with you for some time. The targets that we're looking at are going to be right around that 27.67, 27.14, and that's being extremely bullish. Is there potential that it could go a lot lower because of some of the fundamental news that's going on in the world right now? The tariffs that President Trump has, or at least is imposing to other countries, that's causing a lot of panic right now. And so we don't know how much of that momentum it's going to carry us. So for the time being, I want to give you some targets. 27.67, 27.14, inside that realm, right where you see this green box. Right, this is going to be our areas that we're looking for. We're looking for this trend line. So that could happen, shoot, based on the momentum that we're having on a Sunday, we could get some momentum in the next couple of days, or it could start bouncing up and then we get ourselves a nice bear flag. We haven't seen many bear flags that have performed inside of this bull market, because typically they won't perform well inside of a bull market, but who knows? We could actually have one-off scenarios and then have a bear flag perform, and then we're going to be going a lot lower. So this is going to be the bullish scenario for us, 27.67. I want to remind you guys of the lower targets. Let's hop over to some other charts so we can take a peek at that all together. And I'm going to hop over to a weekly for us, because ultimately it's going to be this black trend line right over here that I want to see sustain. Now, there is potential that we can go lower than that. That's what I was mentioning to you, that we can go lower than 27.67. We can go lower than 2,500, and that's going to put us inside of these green boxes. Now, if we start to lose 27.67, 27.14, our idea is now starting to become invalidated, and we have to start remeasuring. So I'm being optimistic and bullish when I say that we're going to be going to 27.67, and then we start bouncing, and then we start going up. That's my optimistic side of it. If we lose this trend line, we lose these levels, there's really not much in the sense of support levels that hold until we get down to these levels, down into these areas right over here. We could even come down to 21.63, potentially bounce in that area. And the reason being that I'm stating this, if you recall from many moons ago, as far as videos that I was discussing, I was talking about a TD9 sequential. And what I was pointing out before is that we've never had a 9 from that strategy print higher than a 6 or 7 and then move higher to all new highs. We've typically had a 9 print higher, and then we've retraced that move at some point. If you recall from our previous video, it took almost 11 weeks for the previous 9 sequential to be retraced, at least be reset. And that's really what we're looking for right now. We're looking for this area to hold, because it's crypto, new things can happen. Bitcoin hit an all-time high before halving, and that's never been seen before. So there could be a potential from a strategy perspective that it becomes invalidated, that we print a 9 and then we just keep going higher. That's always a possibility. But I'm staying on the other side saying, listen, we could have a 2767 level not be support and we go lower, then we're ultimately resetting this level over here. So if we're going to reset that level, I'm looking at maybe 2163 inside that area. We lose that area. If that so happens to just lose out for whatever reason, let's say that BTC is now sitting somewhere around, let's go for 76K, because I had some thesis for that. I'll give that to you in a different video. But if we get down to those levels and it holds those levels, then this is pretty much where ETH could be going to, right? Sub 2K. I know, I get it. That's not what you guys want to hear. You guys want to hear that ETH has been underperforming. Get ready. We're going to have a massive breakout. Crypto Twitter has been talking about inverse head and shoulders. It's been talking about bump and run type of scenarios. But the reality is this: in order for price action to go higher, we need to create that liquidity. So if everybody and their mother right now is longing that specific area and you see big strike downs, then the big boys, the big players in this game, if you will, are shorting support. So I want to give you guys those levels to pay attention to, so that way going forward, a week from now, a month from now, you can look back and go, oh snap, Saint was right. And that, again, that's not said to impress you, but just more so impress upon that we have these ideas that are laid out weeks and sometimes even months in advance. If you want to check out my Ordi idea inside my corner, it's something I've been discussing since June of last year. And what happened to Ordi? Ordi is performing exactly what I've been calling for. Now, one thing I do want to point our attention to is going to be the USDT and what USDT is going to be doing in order for us to feel a little bit better about us moving higher. So I'm going to go over to a daily. Let's open up USDT. We have some ideas we've been discussing before. It was this 0.382 level that it was tapping into once before, but now we're going to be looking inside of this red box right over here. If USDT just so happens to have a 6 in front of it, let's just say that happens, ETH is dead, figuratively speaking, but ETH is 100% going to be sub 2K level. So I have an extreme pattern performing here, at least what I'm illustrating for you guys for USDT. I don't want to see that for USDT. I want to see 2767 hold and then bounce. I want the TD9 sequential thesis to be invalidated and have a first time for a 9 not to print lower and then we go higher. I want all that, right? Because we're inside of a bull market. But I like to work with probabilities, and I'm sharing those probabilities with you. We are definitely 100% going to be coming back into these levels, 4.6 inside these realms. Again, if we get into this level over here, into this order block inside of this zone, ETH is dead. So when we go back over to ETH and we look at some of our levels, we want to make sure that this holds, and USDT pops out right over here in this order block right over here. I'd say the top of that being somewhere around 4.6. There's a small fair value gap that sits right around 4.7. So it gives a little bit of wiggle room. But if you're using USDT the way that I use USDT in comparison to BTC and ETH, they move in contrast of each other. So if USDT is going up, then for sure ETH is going down. So those are going to be the levels ultimately that we need to be looking for before we start looking into heavy longs. Now, if you guys are at all confused about some of what I've been discussing, some of the ideas, feel free to always reach out to me. Our Scalp X Academy is rolling out here in the next couple of weeks, and all these strategies that I discuss, all these plans of how I put things beforehand are all taught inside of our Scalp X Academy. I would love for you guys to take part in it. It's going to be an amazing event for you guys to take your game to the next level. And shoot, you get me for 90 days, one-on-one, with video lessons, with live classes and live demonstrations. Everything from harmonic patterns to Elliott wave thesis to TD9 sequentials. And even so, I'll be providing you guys with several different indicators that I utilize, that I've personally built. That way it can help edge your game out a little bit more. So if this is something that you have of interest to, then please feel free to reach out to me. Look inside of our Scalp X Academy. So this way you can find out how to join. Seats are filling up very quickly. That's not a ploy to make you rush to your computer and start signing up. That's the truth. You have two amazing traders that are going to be sharing their ideas, their strategies to make you better. And both of us are profitable in this game. Our track record is inside of our corner, but I'll digress. Take a look for yourself. look at the reviews, look at the feedback. It's all there. Outside of that, have an amazing start to your week. Be profitable, be safe. I'll catch you soon. Peace.